on the game. There was much I could do to aid the mother. Some sought the physical comforts of the ritual to steady their thoughts, even Adra from the bell. Others would seek advice, word of counsel for the days ahead. I was able to provide draughts, tinctures, and reading of the child's spirit, all to strengthen the mother. A telling of the child's spirit.
Many would come seeking their child's future, or a reading into the child's past, the lives its soul is said to have lived.
That's usually the case as Mojo. Russian, Scottish, Irish, or something like that. There is a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can't bear to be seen, and there is a spike of fear, alarm.
Such things are not mine to see. I meant no offense.
Oddly enough, it feels like she's not speaking to you. It feels like she's speaking to an audience. The air takes on a curious edge, a chill, which persists for a sharp moment, and then fades into a dull fear. You feel the word "watcher" resounding in her mind. You're frightened, something about watchers. As the thought of watchers crosses your mind, you feel sharp pain, stabbing, and the sudden burst of lashes across your back and shoulder, and then it's gone. And you feel the grieving mother before you, silent, almost fearful, weary.
I was something else, but because the title Watcher was cast on me, the word carried a weight I had neither earned nor deserved. The world seems filled with such titles. They distract, I think, from the actions of the person, from their strengths.
Yeah, prefer no, Mojo. It's fine if there's like some combat mechanics and stuff like that you want to share with me, or if I obviously miss something when I'm going through an area or something like that, but prefer nothing about the story and stuff like that. Why did you believe you were a watcher?
The world has many corners, and in some corners the name Watcher is more known. It is an easier title than others, and at times it is easier to wear. Placing a title upon what is unknown can dispel the fear of it, and I did not fight it. I even believed it true, though I knew little of the ways of Watchers. It even granted me strength. I was able to see the thoughts of others, shape them, and help guide souls. Watcher seemed enough, and the name seemed to matter little in the light of one's acts.
But if they came to you to read their child's souls, what did you tell them?
I drew upon the present. I felt the soul of the mother before me, and used that to tell the child's path, to give it a voice. If only the thoughts of the mother and the emotions that lie beneath were mine to impart. I did, and so I used that as the telling of their child's future.
Which class did you choose? I'm playing a Cypher. Dwarf Cypher. I'm using ranged weapons and throwing spells, basically from the back row. What if it turned out to be untrue?
Futures fulfilled by one's own spirit are as strong as anything seen by another's eyes. And if one draws from the emotion of the mother, it matters only when harm is done. And their lives I knew well. I could weave their lives, their thoughts over time, to the mother, to the child, and once the child had been born, was sheltered, I could relax the threads of thought until the child could stand on its own.
So you shaped their thoughts, made the readings true.
This is my calling, to show them the life I see before them, and even greater, make them believe it.
That is not what a watcher does. We do not shape minds, we see them as they are.
Even the most strongly worded tells may not be enough to save a child and allow it to be born. If I have the strength to strip away the stem of a mother's spite to expose kindness, weave nurturing from disdain and neglect, then that is my calling. And with the weight of Watcher behind my thoughts, these tells gain strength. Strength I never possessed on my own. They believed. And what they believed became the truth. With each child that was set upon that path, the title of Watcher became stronger.
Sure, Mojo.
You must understand, without such weight upon my words, many lives would have been lost, drowned, cast in the lake beyond the bell. Now the trail to the lake is lost and reclaimed by the forest, as was meant. A Watcher was not there to look over us, but it was a Watcher that saved them. And with a Watcher's strength, children were born, were cared for, and grew strong.
It seems your readings were necessary.
What use is a frightened will when a spirit is at stake? Would you let the fears of a mother end her newborn's life? You felt it in the memory, the weight of it, the importance of the child's life. It was a memory we shared.
That memory, it's not the truth, is it? And suddenly there's a rasping cry across your consciousness. She raises her hands and you see the charms drape from them, yet they make no sound as she moves.
A greater good was done, and children were saved. It is a choice you may be forced to make one day, and when faced with it, you will make the same one.
Yes, I am certain I will.
That is good, Watcher.
I have other questions about the birthing bell. Where is the birthing bell located? The birthing bell lies deep in the forests of Durwood, at the borders of Clan Fatan lands, surrounding it. Barely a town, not one you would find on any map, but it held an important place for those there, even if we were far from the beaten track. Small families, tied like a knot, joined at the first in mind, in thought. All were welcomed, all had purpose. I want to discuss something different. I heard the name Watcher in your thoughts when you remember the birthing bell. Why?
It is because I once believed I was one, and others believed I was one.
Requirements not met. There is a slow chill, and for a moment it seems as if she is going to fade from your vision, as if she can bear to be seen. There is another name for someone without abilities. This cipher does not define you any more than Watcher does. It diminishes the nature of who you are, dims the flame of thought and drive, yet it calms others to define you in such way, then comforts may be taken in that. That is a cloak as well as that serves to dispel fear, hate. Why did you believe you were a Watcher? Oh, this is the same discussion. Do you know anything about Watchers? I feel that they were once marked hatred. Such hate feels dimmed now. I can feel it. Other hatreds have risen for other titles, but they burned bright in the past. Now hates have shifted focus, and they may fall on the same again. Either you or I. Leave. That's all. Let's see. I did. Perhaps she'll open up more as our journeys continue. Okay. Yeah, Enderman. It's kinda strange. So here's the world map. I've basically done this area. Everything in here is pretty much done, except the keep is not fully done yet. There's the bottom there, and I need to keep upgrading and doing stuff in the stronghold. And then we ventured down here. We did the wooden plains fully, and most in the Stormwall Gorge. There are some druids there I need to kill. And I just ventured now into the Durford village, and I'll probably head this way next, Searing Falls, and go to the Defiance Bay and check that around. And my reputation here. Defiance Bay is neutral and Gilded Whale is hero, moderately good. And yeah, Cypher, Borel Dwarf from the Living Lands. She's very, very strange. Oh.
I'll take care of it.
Apothecary next. Spent a good while discussing with her. Like an hour or something. No, not an hour, but quite a while.
I see something. Shall be discreet.
That's settled.
Entrance. Crap. And crap. There are lots of quests in the city. Can keep you there for hours. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's the biggest thing in the map, and there's multiple locations. So I'm kind of exploring this area first, and then probably wandering into there. Probably not today. I'm sure Dorfoot Village and the Searing Falls and this surrounding area keeps me going for a couple hours, and then we can probably freshly next time go in there and spend the whole stream in there probably. Potions for sale, potions and oh.
Well met, friend.
The young woman leans against the wagon. One arm and one side of her face are covered in bandages with raw, rippled flesh showing underneath. A minty, tangy scent wafts from her dressings. She smiles painfully. Just ventured into town. I'm about dry on some of my stocks, but you are welcome to have a look-see. Why are your stocks limited? It's the damn roads. We can't reach none of my suppliers, and so I'm stuck with whatever I can scrounge up in the woods. Durcap, Riverdeed, and the like. That's well and good, but most potions require something stronger too. Troll skin, vessel bone, what have you. And then there's the really rare ingredients, things you'd never be able to afford, let alone find on your own. What did you find? Henduna winces at the rest of the story and comes tumbling out of her. I've been keeping an eye on Drake's Nest, east of town, at the Durford Crossing. The beast stayed just long enough to lay a clutch and moved on. Thank the Sky Mother it wasn't a full-grown dragon. She looks at her bandaged arm and grimaces. Fresh eggs are much more useful than the ones that get passed between merchants or left in the nest for weeks and more. And that clutch looked to be at its peak. Thought I would see about getting an egg, but I didn't realize so many of them had already hatched, or that young worms were so territorial. I could get an egg for you. She keeps her gaze steady, but you see hope kindling in her eyes and twitching at the corners of her mouth. I sure hope you're not leading me on. I don't think I could stand getting burned again. She bites her lip. If you really mean to go after it, I would certainly pay you. Just remember, because they are, dragon eggs are fragile, and there's a lot more I can do with a whole one.
Hail, traveler.
She adjusts one of her bandages. Anything else I can do for you? I've got some handy ointments if you're braving on the roads anytime soon. See you, Armas Bay. Tell me again about the dragon egg. It's in a nest perched in the cliff on the east end of Durford Crossing. That's out in the wilds just east of here. I'm sure that there are others elsewhere, but the one at the Durford Crossing is just the age I need. If you head out that way, be careful. The place is crawling with worms when I went out there. And I can't imagine they've gone anywhere else. How did you get burned? She turns her face to the ground. By the flame, how bad does it look? Terrible, I know. Who cares how it looks? What matters is that you're okay. Suppose you're right. Good thing I know my poultice. She sighs. I told you about my run-in with the worms. I reckon you put the rest together already. I'm looking for an Orlan named Nifre. I did see an Orlan lady headed into Dragogen the other day. She points across the road at a large building. Don't know what her name was, but she was acting real sneaky-like. What's wrong with the roads? A noise of disgust rattles from her throat. Brigands, looters, you name it. The gods may be hollowing out our babies, but it's grown folk that's rubbing out the rest of us. People are scrambling to Defiance Bay because they hear there's a healthy birds there, and all those refugees and abandoned homes attract desperate sorts like flies on a dog shit. Show me your wares. Sure thing. Do I have anything to dump on you? Yep. Potions and all kinds of binding copper. I don't really need anything. Thank you. Another request. Let's see this courier.
That's fragrant.
Hello. Stay out of my private corridors. That goes for you and Haron's bootlickers.
Keeping an eye.
There's something ahead.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I may have your key.
Greetings.
A sturdy broad-shouldered man wipes his hands on his slacks. He reeks of the same fall compound wafting from the vats, and his arms are stained with dye. He looks at your calloused hands and nods approvingly. Fellow tradesman, eh? I hate to say it, but you won't find much work here. Rumbald mentioned something about an ogre. He's hardly talked about anything else since those pigs of his went missing. The whole town been worried about that monster. People are starting to see shapes in their windows at night, hearing it scroll in the snoring of their mates. It would put a lot of minds at ease if someone got rid of it. He scrapes the red pigment under his fingernails. I sometimes venture into the wilderness, collecting ingredients for my dyes, mind you. I've seen tracks east of here, near the river. That couldn't have been anything else. He wipes a splosh of dye from his elbow with his shirt tail. Something else you need? What's in the collapsed tower? It's collapsed, nothing. He rolls his eyes and shrugs. A few hides on stretching racks and tallow stench danglers always crumbling about. The rest of the keep's dusty, just like the full lady Thane who tried to hold it. There's a bar at the inn who will tell you the whole blazing story if you want to hear it. Have you seen Knifer and Orlan from Defiance Bay? I make it a point to keep out of other people's business. What do you have for sale? Lots of hide armors. Troll hide belt. +1 endurance. Ooh. This belt has been crafted from the mossy hide of a forest troll with intertwined vines and leaves forming a solid and resistant piece of clothing. Any damage done to the belt tends to be obscured by new growth, for the moss and the small plants which grow upon the belt retain some life. Though the resulting effect is somewhat like wearing a herb garden around one's waist, the piece of hide holds some of the troll's power, granting the wearer the creature's ability to recover from wounds. What does endurance actually do? Oh, it's regeneration. Holy get regeneration belt for 800. That's cheap as hell. Girdle of Mortal Protection. Decreases critical hit damage. 20, so it's like a quarter out of critical damage. Nice. Often purchased by soldiers with means these belts are laden with charms granting protection to the wearer. Though a simple band of dark leather, this particular girdle provides a defense against killing blows, turning a blade aside at the final moment, or else cushioning the strike from blunt blow. Nice. Bye. Exceptional leather armor. Spy those. Okay. Addendum added. guess I'll put the regeneration on this guy. And I'll give the... You have the blunting belt already. Yeah, let's do it this way. You get the crit damage. Although, no, you keep this. I didn't remember he had a belt. You get the troll hide. And I guess you get the crit belt then. But yeah, regen for him seems nice. I'm really tempted to go into the room there. Where do you put everything in the stash? I usually do. I like to keep these consumables and stuff on these guys. But yeah, I should throw more stuff in there. I generally throw everything in there, but
Quiet.
I wonder if he's gonna go crazy if I open the door here. What are you, effigy's eyes? Shablan, stop him! I wonder what's in there.
That didn't work. Need to try something else.
Let's not go there yet. So there is something hidden in there. I was kinda expecting there to be something, to be honest, but... There is something definitely hidden in there.
As you wish.
Let's go out. We'll get in there. I'm actually gonna make a note, so I'll remember. This one is buggy at it. Still. Ford. Die place. Yeah. So there's the Indigo.
Keeping an eye out.
Let's take the quick travel point from here. In the door for crossing. It seems I'm kinda drawn into this direction, even though I was gonna go to the big city. There's Twin Elms, but I don't think we are going there anytime soon. I think this is the direction we're gonna go. Although the ogre and stuff sounds fun as well. Let's go check the inn, so we're done with the city for a while. We got some nice upgrades. I got new armor, couple belts from the shops, bunch of quests and stuff. I'm gonna pop to the toilet, so I'll be back in a second.
Hieno.
I'm back.
Meidän pitää katsoa se joskus uudestaan vielä.
Yep. Sid. Let's talk to Sid.
I just want to find her. Surely even you can understand that.
The raider stands by the fire, tuning her lute and plucking its strings. She hums snatches of a melody as she goes. First time at the Dracogen. Normally I would have a song ready, but I haven't quite worked out this tune yet. I'm writing some chants about founding of this inn. Say, are you interested in the story? I haven't finished the chants, but I could tell you about it. All the same. Sure, let's have it. It was built in the time of Hadred's rebellion. An Adren Lady Tony, once had a keep here. One of the towers still stands, but the rest of it is said to be buried under the village. Anyway, she stuck to the side of the Empire, and the contingent of Duke Hadred's Knights of Crucible helped the farmers and colonists in the area turn her keep to rubble. This inn was the first building that sprang up from the ruins, built with some of the same bricks the colonists had pulled from the Lady Tainus castle, they say. Supposedly the quarterstaff for her chief wizard even got lost in the construction, mortared into the wall or nailed under a floorboard. Anyway, the inn was supposed to be a haven and meeting place while the locals built their new town. What do you mean supposed to be? Durban Woodens are an ordinary lot, and the more of these new neighbors met, the more they argued. They realized they didn't agree on much besides ousting the new old lord. The biggest divide was over the Clanfathans and their nearby ruins. Hadred's knights and their supporters wanted to keep the peace, but a group of misfits with more anarchic leanings that had formed in the town wanted to go after the tribes the same way they had gone after their lord. Soon the villagers were fighting with each other as much as with the Adrens. In the end, the memories of the Broken Stone War and the War of the Black Trees were fresh enough that the Duke's soldiers won the day. Most of the other villagers came around eventually, but some of the core troublemakers left to join the front lines of the War of Defiance, and others, I've heard, found their way into the Guided Compass, the most forward-looking of the Clanfathan tribes. I don't know if I believe that part myself, but it makes a good story. She points to the east wall. There is a portrait of one of the chief rebel rousers and his rival in the peacekeeping faction. Someone's idea of a joke. I don't think they were particularly amused. I want to hear about the Broken Stone War. That was the first major conflict between the original Adran settlers and the Clanfathans. Happened 3 years into colonization when some farmers knocked over an Adra menhir that was part of Ingvitan ruin. The war didn't last long, but it spread quickly and claimed thousands. In the early weeks, most of the colonists didn't even realize there was a war going on until Clanfathan raiders hit their villages. There had been a small spontaneous skirmishes between the colonists and locals before then, but this was organized, and it was the start of decades of violence between colonists and Clanfathans. As you can see, Durwood's full of history, even in a little village like this. Tell me about the War of Black Trees. It started back in the colonial days, almost 30 years after the Broken Stone War. Even though isolated conflicts still broke out between the settlers and Clanfathans, both sides had officially agreed to peace. Endrang Hadred, Admet's father, was Gref at the time. As part of peace negotiations,